with a deputy speaker, and they would also elect a deputy speaker who has a different role. Within Parliament, you must have somebody who must organize the business of the government section so that everyone knows what the government is going to be speaking on. There must be some organizer. And that individual is called the, that individual would be the government business individual within Parliament. And we'll have an opposition business person also who would deal with opposition business. All right? So you'll have a government business leader who's responsible for the government sector, and we'll have an opposition business leader. Invariably, that is not the Prime Minister. He would have someone else who is the government business leader who would be responsible for bringing forward the government's agenda. And we would also have an opposition business leader. That would not be the opposition leader again. I would select and choose somebody within my group who would be the opposition business leader. And he would ensure that the opposition business is presented and goes forward. Then, of course, within that Parliament, you will have what you call a whip. You'll have a government whip and an opposition whip. Now, you may call, in your setting, you may call the sergeant of arms or whatever. But the whip essentially is the individual who would be responsible for ensuring that the government whip would be responsible for ensuring that the government parliamentarians are there in a timely fashion and are there whenever their turn to debate issues. He's to keep order on his side. And the opposition whip, who would be elected again by the leader of the opposition, that whip responsibility is to ensure that all 8 of us are there at a certain time. He would ensure that we have our time to speak, etc. So he do those assignments. It's not the leader, it's the whip. But of course, the whip would discuss certain things with the leader so that you know exactly what's occurring. From time to time, you may see us behaving in a certain manner, but that's a form of strategy. That's a form of strategy. Because I know that I want to get a point across. It's only 8 of us. I want to get a point across. I know that when I present that point, the government will lambaste me and whip me down, make sure I don't talk. David, remember, I only have this side now. This is my team here. And I'm against all of you. And I'm getting up to accuse you and ask you questions that are very pointed. I want you to explain how did that person get hired when they have no qualifications and this and that. When I get up, all 30 of you will attack me. Because you don't want the TV to hear me. You don't want nobody to hear me. So you try your best to drown me out. Right? You will be raising your voices across the floor, trying to engage my people in discussion with you. And it's my VIP's responsibility to ensure that my team does not engage y'all in no discussion. Because if you're successful in having my team engaging you in talking, then that helps to drown me out from speaking. And they are distracted. So my VIP must keep my team focused so that you don't distract me, because you will try to distract me. And especially if I'm talking off the cuff, I'm not reading or whatever. Once you start, you would knock me off, and my team is assisting you. So from time to time, I'm speaking, and I may want to say to a member of my team, shut up, you know what? But because they're throwing me off. And these are the realities, and those are tricks that are used. Now, the opposition has we're in charge of one very, very important committee in Parliament. There are a number of committees, but the most important committee is what you call the Public Accounts Committee. That's a committee where we can review all public accounts. all expenditures of government, we can review. We can summon and call in whomever we choose, and they must come in and be questioned by us. They must answer the questions, and if they don't, there are recourse where we can deal with them through the laws. All right, there are laws that we can utilize to deal with them appropriately. So that is one committee that we control. So all this fiasco that's going on in national insurance, we can review and ask how many individuals were hired. And we can call these individuals up and make determinations, ask them questions, etc., look at salary scales, etc. Contracts, all right? We can ask, we want to review certain contracts because there was a particular contract and we understood that the contract was $30 million, and suddenly we heard that someone else got the contract for $33 million, or someone got the contract for 28. Then through all the assessment, it should have been 30. We can summon all those individuals up and ask them questions about the contract, etc. So that is, and we chair that committee. We chair that committee. So that's a very, very powerful committee. And we utilize, I would have on that committee individuals who are very, very knowledgeable in finances. So we would have 3 individuals on it. It's a 5-man committee. But we would have 3 individuals on it. 2 of our individuals who are on it. The member for St. Anne's, Hubert Chipman, who's an accountant. The member for Grand Bahama, Peter Turnquest, who's an accountant. And the member for Montague, Lightburn, who's a lawyer. So I would have made a decision that those were my 3 best who I would want on there. I'm not an accountant. And therefore it would be in my best interest to have somebody who is very, very versed and knowledgeable in finance. Because that is where, if anything going wrong, that is where all the skullduggery will happen. And therefore you want to be the watchdog to ensure that the people's money is being spent properly. So as small as we may be, it's all in numbers we are, we can still keep you in check, because every time you want to spend a dime, we need an explanation for that. We can keep you in check. All right? So then, of course, so Parliament is called what you call the lower house. Then, of course, we have the Senate. The Senate would have 16. 9 would be appointed by the Prime Minister. 4 would be appointed by me. All right? So I would choose whomever 4 I think are best to go and represent me in the Senate. The other 3 would be appointed by the Prime Minister in consultation with the Leader of Opposition. Now, she have that on tape, so I don't want to say what that means. I'll tell you what that means afterwards. Right? But in consultation with the Prime Minister. But for all intents and purposes, those 3 are his also. So I would only have 4 in there for all intents and purposes. The Senate was originally set up because laws are passed in Parliament. They subsequently go down to the Senate. And the Senate was originally set up so that you would have elderly statesmen, etc., who would review the laws to ensure that they're adequately put together and they can make amendments, send it back because some error, correction, etc. That's deviated, and the Senate is not utilized as much in that perspective as it was intended to. But that's a different story altogether. So essentially, the government would have 9 plus 4, plus 3, sorry, and I only have 4. So once a bill comes from the Parliament, it goes down to the Senate. So you can understand that they got numbers, they can just pass that through. I have the numbers, and I would have individuals whom I know can keep those senators or their senators in check. What it means is when I make my selection as senators, I am looking for a certain type of